It's not that there are spies among us. It's that spy on spy is going on all the time.
This is At Brookings, a weekly in-depth look at the issues behind the news. This week, espionage and national security.
Even in times when presidents from once adversarial Cold War nations can share a burger, there are spies among us. The discovery of a Russian spy caper involving 10 agents operating in the U.S. revealed that the end of the Cold War didn't mean the end of espionage. Non-resident senior fellow John McLaughlin, a former CIA director, asserts that in matters of government, secret agents are no secret. John, the whole story about the 10 Russian spies living here in the States and then being discovered and subsequently sent back home seemed to leave the American public a little bit amazed, I would say, amused and bewildered.
Although these 10 people do not appear to have scored any big victories in the spy wars, they do not appear, as far as we know, to have gained any crucial information. I call them the underlying infrastructure of espionage. I mean, these are the people you don't notice, you never see them, but for spies who are in the country, let's say someone who's here in a more prominent role, but actually as a spy documented as a diplomat, let's say, these people provide the infrastructure that person can use to move money, carry messages, drop off papers. They also can provide safe houses, places to meet other agents. They can look for people who are possible targets for recruitment as spies here. So they're kind of the, infrastructure is the best word. It's the part of the machinery you never see.
In light of the spy story, there have been reports that perhaps the United States and Russia shouldn't be spying on one another, that the spying focus should be on other countries like Venezuela or Iran or China even.
The term usually used is hard target. In other words, those are countries hard to learn things about. And they probably view us as a hard target. We don't show them all of our cards. They'd like to see more of our cards because we have a contentious relationship with them. And not the slightest doubt in my mind that they're seeking to learn more about us through every means they can. Countries that we don't have in any sense a hostile relationship also do that. China, for example.
Would it be a better use of our intelligence gathering services if we could infiltrate organizations such as the Taliban or Al-Qaeda?
Al-Qaeda, the secrets we want most are probably held by a couple of dozen people who live in caves, or at least in remote parts of regions that are difficult to reach and difficult to move in. So, yes, the most desirable secrets are now harder to get at than they once were and held by a smaller number of people. So the task of penetrating organizations like that is immensely more difficult than it was during the Cold War.
Well, the United States has a long history of spying, starting with President George Washington.
George Washington was our only president between the Revolution and the Second World War who really had knowledge of and love for espionage and an appreciation of its value. As a national endeavor, it's World War II that raises largely through our observation of the British, who were, of course, at that time well along in fields such as communications intercepts and human spying, which they organized formally in 1909. We sat at their knee, we saw how it worked, we saw their techniques of deception and covert action, and through the Office of Strategic Services, which Roosevelt set up. We learned a lot of those things. That then transformed into the CIA 2 years after the end of World War II. And that's why I say we've really only been doing this at a national organized level for a little over 60 years.
Does the discovery of these Russian spies here affect our national security?
Would it be better and would we be more secure if there were no spies among us? Of course. But again, I return to my theme here, which is this is a fairly normal part of statecraft. And you try and keep it to a minimum and keep the odds working in your favor. A friend of mine used to say about American intelligence, on our worst day, we're better than everyone else. And on our best day, we're still not good enough.
John, thank you for your time here today.
My pleasure. Great to talk to you.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Gigi Hinton, and we'll see you again next week.
At Brookings is produced by the Brookings Institution. To learn more about the issues discussed on At Brookings, visit our website at brookings.edu.